Sister left her kids on my doorstep and disappeared for 2 days. I was on vacation and had no clue until she showed up accusing me of losing them. Hi, everyone. I, 28F, have an older sister Jackie, 32F, who has 2 kids, an older son and a younger daughter. Her son is 14 and her daughter just turned 12 a couple of weeks ago. Their father is not in the picture anymore and my sister's a single mother. I wouldn't say that Jackie and I are close, but we're okay. We aren't arch enemies either, like some other siblings here. I guess you could say that we're just indifferent to each other. Now about 6 hours ago, Jackie turned up at my house and asked me where her kids were. I had no idea what she was talking about because I hadn't even been at home for the past 4 days. I'd been away on a beach trip with my boyfriend, so I didn't understand what she was referring to. She told me that she dropped off her kids at my house 2 days ago and told them to ring the doorbell so I could take them in while she ran some errands. She told me that she'd texted me about it, but I didn't recall receiving any text of the sort and even showed her proof of it on my phone. But while going through my phone, she was able to discover the text that she'd sent before she dropped her kids off and I'd somehow missed it. Probably because I was on vacation and wasn't checking my phone often. She started to panic and accused me of being careless because now neither of us knew the whereabouts of her kids. She told me that apparently, she'd driven away before she saw that her kids were safely inside the house because she was counting on me to take them in. She told me that she had gotten into some legal trouble that she didn't want to speak about and that's why she'd been missing for 2 days. But now that she was back, she wanted her kids and she wanted them now. I didn't know what to do, so I suggested that she go to the police or something because I literally had no clue where the kids could be. They didn't even have their phones on them, so there was no way we could get through to them. Jackie didn't want to go to the cops because she just finished dealing with a lot over the last 2 days and the police's involvement was the last thing she needed. She turned my house upside down and accused me of being selfish and not thinking about my niece and nephew. She said that she'd been counting on me to help her out in this tough spot, but I'd let her down. She left in tears and said that she was going to knock on every relative's door until she was able to find her kids. I feel like a total idiot right now, even though I don't understand how this is my fault. Ida for missing a text from my sister where she told me to take her kids in because I was on vacation. Update 1. Okay, folks. It's been 4 days and I finally have good news. I've been in touch with Jackie because I really felt guilty about not noticing that text, even though it wasn't my fault. Today, she told me that her kids had somehow managed to find their way to their uncle's house and that's where they had been for the past couple of days. Now this wasn't our cousin, but it was Jackie's ex-boyfriend's cousin, and he apparently had still continued to talk to his nephew online because he knew that his mother wouldn't let him stay in touch with him otherwise. I thought it was a little creepy at first, but then I realized that this uncle of theirs, Frank, 28M, had practically saved their lives by taking them in Jackie's and my absence. Jackie apologized to me for behaving badly the other day and said that it was pretty out of character for her to freak out at people like that. And I agreed because she was usually a pretty level-headed person. She told me that she hadn't slept a wink in the past couple of days because she was so worried about her kids and where they were. I finally asked her why she hadn't gone to the police and what kind of trouble she had been in exactly before this, which required her to leave her kids behind. So she finally confessed that she'd gone to gather evidence against the company that she was currently employed in because she'd heard from a particular source and they were planning to blame her for embezzlement. Since the company was facing a huge financial crisis and they needed someone to shoulder the blame. So upper management had figured that she could take the blame, as she was the head of accounting and had the most access to the company's financial records. She knew that she'd be fired within a few days, so she decided that she would collect all the evidence that she could in her favor from the office. Then she even went out of town to speak to her ex-boss about this and asked him to be on her side if she needed him to testify against the company during the hearings. That took a couple of days and she really did feel guilty for leaving her kids behind and not even bothering to check if they were doing all right during that time. Because she was just so frustrated with how this situation was turning out, especially since she'd always been an extremely honest employee. She didn't want to go to the cops because that would reflect badly on her and might even end up with her kids being taken away from her, which she didn't want. She broke down and told me that she hadn't even bothered to pack warm clothes for her kids, even though it was pretty cold outside. And she just completely neglected them because she was facing a crisis. I tried to console her, but I knew that it was pretty messed up to treat your kids like that, no matter what you're going through personally. Jackie and I aren't really in touch with our parents anymore and haven't been for a really long time. So I'm pretty much the only person that she can count on, and I know it's the same for me if it really comes down to it. So we might not be the best of friends, but we always have each other's backs. It's been that way since we were kids and I was disappointed that I couldn't look after her kids this time around. She was really lucky that her son had remembered Frank's address from when they used to talk online. She found out by accident when she logged into her son's Instagram account and went through his chats. She was so out of it that it didn't even occur to her until she opened her laptop. Her son would occasionally use her laptop to play games or to talk to his friends online. And when she remembered that, she instantly logged in and that's how she was able to discover Frank. That guy didn't have Jackie's number, so he wasn't able to contact her when her kids showed up at his house. Frank used to visit a lot before his cousin gave up custody of the kids 4 years ago, and after that, Jackie wanted nothing to do with his family, so Frank wasn't able to visit the kids again. But he was able to reconnect with his nephew online, and it was actually surprisingly Jackie's son who tracked his uncle down online and sent him the first text. I guess kids do remember who was there for them the most as kids. So anyway, I'm just glad that Jackie was able to find her kids and I don't have to carry around the guilt of not noticing that text sooner. I just hope that she's able to deal with her baggage better so that her kids don't have to suffer anymore. Update 2. It finally happened. Jackie's company fired her and they're also planning to come after her legally, just like she'd expected. They accused her of embezzlement and said that they would make sure she ended up behind bars. The poor woman is scared beyond words and has been texting me almost every hour, just so she has somebody to talk to. She does have a lawyer and a pretty good one at that, but even then she's going up against a pretty big force, so there's no telling what might happen next. She has asked me and Frank to look after her kids and help her out whenever she needs it because she would hate to end up neglecting her kids like she had the first time around. And both of us obviously said yes to the job, because she's going through a horrible thing right now and needs all the help and compassion that she can get. Update 3. So Jackie and her company's representatives are meeting with a court-appointed mediator today and she left the kids with me. They're quite good kids and it's horrible that their mother has to go through something like this. I guess the only silver lining here is that this has really helped Jackie and I bond together. She dropped off the kids at my house last night and I demanded that she stay for dinner because I really didn't want her to leave and face the night before this morning all by herself. After the kids had fallen asleep, Jackie had a total meltdown and told me how she'd dedicated almost a decade of her life to this company and now they were screwing her over without as much as a second thought. I consoled her through the night and insisted that she spend the night here because I just couldn't let her drive back home in that state. Even when she woke up this morning, she seemed nervous and anxious and I guess it's totally normal for her to feel that way even if she's innocent. I offered to drive her but she told me not to because she needed somebody to watch the kids and drop them off at school. I also needed to go to work after I dropped them off at school, so she went on her own. Frank will pick the kids up after school ends and drop them at Jackie's house. It's a pretty neat system that we've worked out and I'm really hoping that we don't have to stick to this for long, that Jackie can resume her normal life soon. I know this isn't the drama-filled update that a lot of people wanted to hear but I'm really scared for Jackie and I just need a place to vent. So I'm turning to Reddit for help right now. Update 4. I just got to know something insane from Jackie and it finally makes sense why she was so nervous and jittery before the meeting, even though she hadn't really done anything that she had been accused of. Apparently, Jackie had been in a relationship with one of her subordinates for almost 2 years before this, and that's what she was really scared of, that her company was going to try and use this against her. And that is exactly what happened. She's even more screwed because unfortunately, this was not a relationship that HR had been told about. So it was kind of frowned upon. What was even worse was that she was the one who had initiated this relationship, and she hadn't even told her lawyer about it, so he was completely blindsided when they brought this up during the meeting. Jackie's boyfriend had pretty much submitted all their texts and stuff as evidence to the company and stabbed her in the back pretty badly. He called her later on saying that they'd offered him the position that she used to work in for selling her out and he just had no choice. Truth be told, he did have a choice. He just made the one that would benefit him at the cost of his relationship. Jackie came home today and told me all of this and I really gave her an earful. Because this was really irresponsible and stupid of her. Not only was she putting herself in danger by not being completely honest with her lawyer and the people who cared about her, but she was also not even thinking about her kids who were looking forward to having her around all the time again. She was crying yet again, but today, I was just too mad at her to feel bad about it. I told her that we all deserved better, and so did she. But if she wasn't willing to be honest and transparent, then there was very little the rest of us could